Okay, so we're going to build an IPv6 network today. Um, so I assume at this point that you've built an IPv4 network and you have a little familiarity with packet tracer. We're not really going to do anything that different, except one, many of these configuration options we're going to have to do manually through the command line interface. We cannot, there's not like an automatic config in packet tracer. Yeah, that's the big difference. So let's go ahead and build out a couple of simple local area networks. Very simple. Let's start with our end devices. So we're going to drag PC0 over there, drag PC1 over there. Those are going to be our two end devices. And go to our network devices. I'm going to put a switch in the middle just because that is for correctness and completeness. In reality, it's not necessary for what we're doing. And then finally, let's put a couple of routers here. So we have LAN 0 and LAN 1. Now let's connect everything together. And we're going to use old trusty lightning bolt, which will automatically select the correct connection type. And if you are following along, which you should be, make sure you do this in the same order that I'm doing it in. Otherwise, the particular interfaces, gigabit 0001, etc., might be a little bit different. So there we go. Everything is connected together. If I put my mouse over that, it shows that they're all down, which, remember, on the router, we have to manually turn the interfaces on. We can see that these interfaces over here are up, and if I put my mouse over it, you can see that Fast Ethernet 01 is up, because Ethernet connections between hosts and switches will auto-negotiate and turn on. Let's go ahead and go to PC0 here. Now, if I click on config, we can see that there is an IPv6 option to configure things here. I can also go to desktop and click on IP configuration, and this is actually where I would rather change it. So we're going to leave IPv4 blank, and let's take a look at IPv6. Notice right off the bat that we have that link local address. Right, that is the EUI64 address. We can tell because it starts with FE80, and then that number that's generated, that last 48 bits, that is based off of the physical address, the MAC address of this. So at this point, we can statically assign an IP address. Autoconfig just generates this, so I don't know why that's there as an option. And DHCP, if we had a DHCP server, an IPv6 DHCP server, remember with IPv6, DHCP can work two different ways. It can work the same as IPv4, where it generates an entire IP address and hands it to the host machine, or it can just give the host machine the network information, and the host machine can generate this number on its own. Also, really quick, let's not forget what this number actually is. It's 128 bits separated into 8 segments. Each segment is 4 hexadecimal digits. Oh, I should highlight one with 4. Is 4 hexadecimal digits. You can omit the leading zeros. Since we know it's 4, if you show me less than 4, we know that the rest must be zeros. And also, since we know it's 8 segments, if you give me a double colon, I know that that's all zeros. So this shows me 1, 2, 3, 4 segments, and then a 5th segment over here. So I know there are 3 segments of all zeros there, which is pretty common. So we're going to use static, and we're going to assign an IP address. So I'm just going to pick 2000, and then for our second segment, I'm going to say, well, actually, I'm going to write this whole one out here. So I'm going to say the second segment is 1, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, And then I'm going to say 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 2. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 segments. And I'm going to make it /64, which means that the network portion is this first half here, right? So this is how I will statically assign the IPv6 address. And I'm going to set up a gateway here, and I'm going to write the same thing except with the shorthand. So 2, 1, 2, 3, 2000, and 1 double colon, and this one will be address number 1. I'm not going to set up a DNS server, but it would be the same format. So you can see why we have these rules. You see how much shorter it is to write this than this, and it's actually much more readable. So that's it. Boom. PC0 is configured with an IPv6 address. Now let's go to router 0. And again, because of the nature of the way Cisco simulates IPv6, there's no, let's go to 00 here, right? There's an IP address, but there's no IPv6 information here. I have to go to the command line interface. And I'm going to click exit. And go all the way back down. I don't know why it actually has stuff in there. And I don't think I can make this any bigger. I'll try to zoom in on this later on. But you might have to squint. So this is your typical Cisco router interface. It starts with no privileges. If you ever want to know, hey, what can I do? Hit the question mark, and it'll show you all the commands that are available. From here, pretty much always what you do is enable to elevate your privileges. And we know we have elevated privileges because now it has the hash next to the prompt. And now I can look here and see what can I do. And you could see that I can configure, and that's pretty much always where you go from here. So configure, I'm hitting tab to autocomplete. So I'm going to configure terminal, hit enter. Now I'm configuring the actual router itself. And if I want to know what I can do, I hit question mark. And notice I have some IPv6 options. So let me do IPv6 and then space question mark. What can I do? I can create an access list, that is who's allowed to access it with IPv6 addresses. I can set up IPv6 DHCP. We're not going to do that. We're doing everything statically. I can set up IPv6 host names, network address translation. I can set up static routes, or I can enable the IPv6 routing process. And that's really what I want to do at this point. And I'm going to turn on RIP. Oh, do I have to set up the... So I have to give it some kind of name. We'll just call it net1. And it says IPv6 routing not enabled. And it's not enabled because I haven't turned on IPv6 on any of my interfaces yet. So let's go ahead and configure an interface. And we type interface gigabit 0/0. I know that 00 is the one that's going to switch 0 because that's the first one that I connected. Now first I have to turn that interface on. This is one of the most unintuitive things about Cisco, right? If you want to turn the interface off, the command is shutdown. So if I want to turn it on, the command is no shutdown. And you notice when I did that, the little green arrow turned up, and it tells me that the state has been turned up. So now if I look here, I have IPv6 commands as well. So let's do IPv6. And what can I do with that? The big things we're looking for here are enable, and I can set an address. So I'm going to, first of all, enable IPv6. And then I'm going to set an IPv6 address, and I have to specify it in that IPv6 format. If you recall, the address of the gateway was 2000:1:1. I also have to specify the CIDR, right, or the subnet mask, which is /64. So boom, I now have a functioning IPv6 address. Let me go ahead and end and go back all the way down to the bottom, and let's try to ping 2000:1:2, and we had 100% success rate. So I am able to ping from router 0 to PC 0. And if I go ahead and close this, let's go back to PC 0. Let's turn on the command prompt, and let's try the same thing there. Let's do ipconfig/all just to verify. Oh, that's interesting. It's showing me my link local. It's not showing me my other IPv6 address. Let's try it anyways. Ping 2000:1:1. And we are getting replies. So it is connected both ways. You know, if you were in a Windows computer and you typed IPv6, it would show you your IPv6 information. One kind of problem with Cisco Packet Tracer is it is simulating these machines. These aren't actual virtual machines. So not everything behaves exactly the way it would in the real world. But we know that they're both functioning properly. Everything's okay. Let's go ahead and do the same thing for our other LAN. So we'll go to PC1, go to desktop, IP configuration. Again, we're going to leave it as static. And this we're going to make 2000, and we'll make this network number 2, and this will be address number 2. And it's, again, /64. This is one of the things that makes subnetting and network setup so much easier under IPv6. You don't need to do really complicated subnet calculations because you have so many bits. You pretty much always make the network ID the first 64. And then we're going to go ahead and put the gateway, which will be 1, and we're going to leave the DNS blank, and boom, done. Let's go here to router 1. Let's go to the config, or to the command line interface. Enable configure terminal IPv6 and router RIP net 1, and it's not enabled because we haven't turned it on anywhere else. Let's go to interface gigabit Ethernet 0/0, and I should move this over here so we can, yes, so you can watch the process. First we turn it on with no shutdown. We see it goes up. Then we do IPv6 enable and turn it on. IPv6 address 2000 network number 2, and this is address 1/64 end, and let's do ping 2000 to number 2, and we have 100% success rate from router 1 to PC1. And if I go to PC1, and again, just to be sure, we'll bring up the command prompt, and if I do ping 2000 to :1, we are getting replies from router 1. So everything is connected. The next step, and we're going to do this in a separate video, is going to be connecting router 0 to router 1.